Good evening. Hello. Hi. Oh, I love it. Hello. We're just waiting for everybody to get in the building and hopefully get a seat. We're kind of pretty packed out. I think there's about 400 seats, so we were hoping that was going to be fine. We'll see how that goes. It's lovely to see you tonight. My name's Gillian Eason. I'm from Creative Dundee, and I'd love to welcome you to Pecha Kucha Night Volume 15. Give yourself a warm round of applause. Ooh, that's new and fancy that I didn't expect. So tonight we've got an amazing range, as ever, of speakers traversing all different kinds of things, and we're never sure, that's the beauty of Pecha Kucha, we're never sure what speakers are going to actually speak about on the night, and it's always a joy to see. So I'm going to do a quick, how many people have been to how many Pecha Kucha type things, and you can either shout or raise your hand or do a combination of both. So let's go for first. How many people are here for the first time? Great. Ace. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Can't remember. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Who's been to all 15? Woo! Oh, brilliant. Okay, so Creative Dundee, wee small organisation that I think most of you know. We've been running these for about 4.5, 5 years now. And what we love about them is just the kind of randomness of them and the diversity. I suppose that's a better word. So yeah, what else have I got to tell you? I've not got to tell you anything. I'm just going to pass over to Tokyo. Am I?
Hello! Dundee Design Festival.
Hi there.
Everybody there, and especially Gillian and Lyle and all the great people of Pecha Kucha Night Dundee. Thank you for pulling up this Pecha Kucha Night at this great design festival. Why are we calling in?
Yeah, who are we?
This is Mark Dyson.
This is Astrid Klein.
And we are Klein Dyson Architecture over here in Tokyo.
What do we do?
A long time ago we came up with Pecha Kucha Night, and it's really great and easy format of 20 images, 20 seconds each, which you're all gonna enjoy now.
That's right. And why is it 20 slides, 20 seconds? Because I talk too much generally, and it's a way to keep things sharp and to the point. There must be lots of people like me around the world, because we are now in how many cities?
921 cities.
That's right. And this month there's nearly 100 events already happening around the world, which is pretty amazing when you think about it. We always wonder why Pecha has become so popular. I think one of the reasons is, I'm sure in Dundee, certainly in Tokyo, there are actually very few places where architects and designers can show and share their work. And if you're designing your first project, maybe a house for your parents, you don't really have enough images for a full-blown lecture. But you do have 20 great images you can show at Pecha Kucha Night amongst your friends, hopefully some press and PR, some great designers at the Dundee Design Festival, but maybe your next client is there, you never know. So Astrid's
Little trivia. What does Pecha Kucha mean? It means a sound of chit-chat in Japanese. And yes, it's difficult to pronounce, so you can go all creative with it. We don't mind. It can be good fun. But as usual, it does not mean pressure cooker, it does not mean Machu Picchu, and no, it's not projector night. It still is Pecha Kucha Night.
Yeah, and over at pechakucha.org you can find all of our latest news. We hope you're videoing the presentations with good sound. We now have over 7,000 presentations from cities just like Dundee. So it's a really great way to share your creativity at the festival with the rest of the world. So send through the data and we'll put it up on the website. So
yeah.
Congratulations.
And have lots of fun. Pecha Kucha.
And yeah, I'm going to see Lyle and Gillian in London.
and Astrid, and they set up Pecha Kucha Night, or Pecha. I always say it wrong, it's terrible. And yeah, it's lovely that they are part of Dundee's Design Festival as well. So just very briefly about the Design Festival, it looks awesome. We hope you get a chance to explore it. We'll have a break as well, and then it's open until Saturday, so please do come back and check it out. Okay, I think that's it, yeah? And we've got this great, amazing hashtag, which Dylan Gibson, who's in the audience somewhere, illustrator, there he is, very kindly did. So that's the hashtag. And we are live streaming tonight. So if you want to tell friends and family to check in, it's creativedundee.com/live. And we're on live. Actually, let's wave. Where are we? Where do we wave to? That one? That one. You wave. Everybody wave. Welcome, everybody. Oh, cool. Okay. It's really crazy. I mean, it's usually in the Bonner Hall, and it's crazy in there. It's really crazy in here. I think we'll do some kind of, like, get everybody up on stage to see how crazy it is. Okay, that was really good for comforting our speakers to come up on stage. It's good fun on it. So our first speaker tonight is Andy Robertson, and Andy works for Hot Chocolate Trust, which is an amazing youth arts charity, and he's going to tell us all about what he does. I'm going to welcome Andy. It's just a sea of dark. Please, one rule, clap away.
You've just done my talk, literally. Hiya, my name's Andy. I'm going to tell you a bit about my involvement with an amazing collective, the Hot Chocolate Trust. It's a youth organisation here in Dundee that works to engage, to build relationships and community with the young people that hang out in Dundee city centre. Now, the young people who hang out across Dundee face an enormous array of complex challenges, from violence and abuse to mental health to drugs and alcohol to homelessness, unemployment. And yet in the face of that, the young people at Hot Chocolate are some of the most passionate, the most creative, the most innovative and inspiring people that I've ever met in my life. And that makes for a rich, diverse, creative culture at Hot Chocolate. From film and photography to fashion and cosplay to screen printing to spray painting to songwriting and performance. The list goes on, and it's had a massive impact on me. So I used to be a graphic designer who did a little bit of youth work, and then one day I became a youth worker who did a little bit of design, and then one day I came to the suspect conclusion that youth work actually is design. And I came to that conclusion like this. I was watching a film about product design, as you all do, you bunch of geeks. And Jonathan Ives was on there, and he said something like this: the curse of the designer is that every day you're looking at something and you're thinking, why is that like that? Why is it not like this? And so you're constantly designing. And I thought that's exactly what we do with young people. Seeing the current reality for them and working with them to begin to imagine and action new, better, creative, alternate cultures, futures, I should say. So that got me onto thinking, what are young people getting out of all this creative activity? And what role could design play in helping create real and lasting change for young people? So I began to explore this with a bunch of local practitioners, local young people, and just seeing some of the links between design and youth work. And one of the things that came out of that was we had kind of 5 key themes that were recurring again and again that young people were experiencing in their creative engagement. So the first was this: design as achievement. Young people were saying that their pride, their self-esteem was growing through being able to take things from start to finish, having their work celebrated and affirmed as something of value and worth. The second was design as expression, not just being able to express themselves, but learning the key skills needed to do that through growing their confidence, growing their communication, growing their collaborative skills. The third was design as a healer, so being able to externalize, being able to see things in new lights and new perspectives, being able to just get lost in the joy of making. The fourth was design as a journey, young people adopting personal approaches that were marked by reflection and perseverance, that sense of always wanting to strive to do more, to do better, of learning from your mistakes and pushing forward. And the fifth was design as a problem solver. In a context where there's more and more barriers and less resources for young people, thinking as designers, thinking as creatives was beginning to put a sense of agency back into the hands of young people, helping them to think both realistically, but more importantly with a sense of mischief and a sense of imagination about what they could achieve. Why is that important? Everywhere I go, I hear two extreme voices in my ears. The first goes like this: why the hell are they spending so much money on design museums and galleries when there's so much poverty and injustice in Dundee? They don't care about us, they just care about themselves. And the second goes like this: design will save your life as long as we've got enough post-it notes and as long as it's got jam somewhere in the title, then we'll come to your house tomorrow and we'll sort it out, no bother, probably by lunchtime. In between that, those two extremes, there are amazing people doing amazing things. Quite a lot of them, I think, are in this room. You see, cultural growth, creative growth, and social growth are not mutually exclusive, but they're mutually vital for Dundee. So I want to encourage you, creatives, communities, find each other, learn from each other, shape this city together, because you've got deep resources to share. When I went into hot chocolate, I thought I could maybe help somebody, could maybe teach somebody something, but the reverse has been true. The young people have taught me so much. They've taught me about complexity and collaboration. They've taught me that appearances can be more than deceptive, and that sometimes sitting together in the mess is often far more important than jumping to solutions. Perhaps most importantly, they've taught me to be naive enough to not have a list of why things can't work and won't happen. So I'd like to salute them with a final quote that goes something like this: here's to the crazy ones, the rebels, the misfits, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. You can quote them, you can disagree with them, you can glorify or vilify them. They're not fond of the rules and they've got no respect for the status quo. Just about the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. And where some see the crazy ones, we see genius, because the ones who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. Thank you very much.
Now that's a Pecha Kucha. Thank you so much, Andy. And I don't know if you noticed the cool T-shirt there, a bit of Tekel and Hyde. Check them out as well. I think Andy is the designer behind there. Wow, we've got more people arriving. Hello, more people. Are we going to fit in? Oh gosh, I hope so. There's this really interesting sort of cathedral-like sound. I hope the echo is okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Wow. Next speaker has just arrived, literally in Dundee, about 2 hours, 1 hour ago, thanks to Neon Digital Arts. Jordan Geiger is, he's a bit of everything, it seems, but he's architecture, interaction, bit of computing interaction stuff. He's going to tell you much more than me. I'm just going to pass over to Jordan. Please welcome him to the stage.
Okay, I'm going to read from this. Hi everyone, I'm Jordan. And tonight I'm going to talk probably really fast about architecture, not buildings, styles, or icons of vehicles of thought or capital or global warming, although it is all these things, but instead to see it as a middle scale for design between tiny Internet of Things and big satellite networks. We live in the mid-range of that big sweep of design scales, and in the middle of laws, technologies, financial instruments, and other things that cover the planet. We live in spatial organizations and also administrative organizations. I call these very large organizations. So I'm going to quickly show you a few examples of what I mean, things that show how very large organizations are changing the built environment. And these are spaces of border crossings, of farmlands, of prisons, of airports, and spaces of the air itself. Take the lowly automotive toll plaza. I mean, how can we even call it a plaza? It's hardly a social space or a civic space. The road widens where traffic slows down. It's an inverse diagram of speed. But thanks to RFID payment and border control agreements, we can start to reclaim and repurpose lots of this space. Around the Great Lakes regions in the United States, there are dozens of these. At each, engines idle and produce tons of emissions as commuters await their crossing between the US and Canada. It's an ecological event as much as it is economic or cultural for these people. If you mask out lands and buildings previously devoted to the plaza and its unfortunate human toll collectors, a vast surplus of space appears as a binational zone, one that can host water remediation, recreation, worship, commerce, things in a classical agora. Call it Niagara. Floating on the national borderline dividing the Niagara River, a platform station can monitor water quality, thereby honoring an 1812 treaty between the two countries. It's accessible from the existing bridge, but only by a ramp so steep that only a driverless vehicle can navigate. The seasonal sink hosts ice skating in the winter and a fish pond in the summer. Its edges spiral upward, a continuous path for cyclists from both countries intertwining with one another, but existing in neither. Niagara's spaces follow the same protocols as the technologies that brought them about at the toll plaza, but toward other ends. Also quintessentially American is big agriculture. Industrial farms increasingly use GPS-driven equipment and remote machine vision to sense soil quality for moisture, nitrogen, and so on. Satellites are in what you could call read-write mode, but still at the service of monocultures. But we all read landscape now through satellites. In our browsers, what if we wrote polycultures instead with a small modification to the tractor seed hopper? What could we all read from the results? Images, logos, crop view like street view to tell us what's growing. Who farms there? What about patterns of plantings that correspond to soil sedimentation, humidity, and so on, but with a seasonal change? These here are from a series of studies on a site in Northern California, one that we hope to test with a community-supported agriculture and imagine a change in the economies of scale. While not uniquely American, the US has made use of electronic monitoring for over 35 years, with hundreds of thousands of inmates and parolees. The cuff is like the latecomers in the quantified self movement. Think of the Nike Fuel Band or the Fitbit, a lucrative private industry, but made with interstate law enforcement agencies. You could say it turns the panopticon inside out. This prison model was conceived by philosopher Jeremy Bentham and famously described later by Michel Foucault as planting the guard in the prisoner's consciousness, thanks to the central tower and surrounding cell block. With electronic monitoring and live online maps, everyone everywhere is the guard. The city is blanketed in curfews, exclusion zones, and inclusion zones, schools, stalking victims, or just staying between a workplace and home. Prison functions are outsourced to the city itself. It's filled with ambiguities and praised from the left and the right. Thumbs here, lean forward, breathe into this. Airport immigrations is a veritable Simon Says now for biometrics. The data collected remains invisible and unexplained to our new citizens and visitors, just like the foreign policy that lets them in or keeps them out. The last to gain understanding of all this are children. A combination workshop, play structure, and web archive, this project starts with a mapping and storytelling exercise at a neighborhood center in Buffalo, New York. Kids here come mostly from Burma, Somalia, and Sudan. They record their paths on the walls and what they gained and lost along the way. Over days, the kids then play in a big felt amorphous space, big enough for two. It's a soft, floppy geodesic, part urban spectacle and part recording booth. Kids look into a hole or touch a surface with both thumbs. They get sensed and they start telling their migration stories. The thing's electronics then mine responses to plot paths to an online map with dates, each path then linked with a corresponding immigration policy to reveal for the kids some of the information infrastructure in global migrations today and to empower them with some self-identity and claim to place. And finally, what about the air itself, imbued as it is with so much electromagnetic frequency radiation? Public health agencies around the world regulate warning labels for cell phones differently, suggestive of different anatomical models and instruments at the doctor's office. How might these play out over time? Imagine a set of fictions for the next decades and places where EMF, culture, and law coalesce in the air and in our bodies, where Dutch roof tiles block EMF, but bike seats channel it toward planned sterility, to population control in a sexually liberated land. These are some of the spaces of very large organizations today and to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. Yeah, as you said, a bit of everything. That was great, really good. Thank you very much. Right, I'm going to speed on through. Next, we're going to hear from a very important collective in the city. We've spent the day in here, which is why the walls are all kind of plastered with stuff, speaking about the role and, future of hubs and collectives. And so one of those collectives and hubs in the city is Tin Roof Collective, and they've done incredible things over the last few years, and they're in a state of change. And we're going to hear from them, and they're going to tell us more about that. So I'm going to welcome Tin Roof up to the stage. Please join me.
Hello. My name's Jo, and I'm one of the people that helped set up Tin Roof back in 2011. And with me today are Tanith and Katie, who are our current interns. And today we wanted to share a little bit about our learning around what collectives are and kind of how we've experienced being a collective. And just kind of one of the things that started off was a lot of consultations. So we spent a lot of time gathering people's thoughts and opinions about what they wanted to see in the city. And this was a really energetic time. We had so many people flocking to the doors and just wanting to share with us what they wanted, because we all needed something. We all needed something to happen in the city to change for us to be able to continue our work. And this energy was really infectious, and we managed to speak to so many artists, and we managed to pool resources and get our amazing building and actually start really focusing on our practices. But inevitably, this settled and some of the energy has dissipated, and we ended up starting to really focus, I guess, on what we wanted to do, which was to make art. And some of the things that started happening were slightly interesting notes that start getting left in communal spaces. So this is one of the polite ones. And yeah, just the kind of reality of communal work starts to set in. So maybe some people annoy you a little bit, or maybe some people have a different idea that they shared at the beginning and it's not being met. Or maybe some people are really messy and leave apple cores in the kitchen. So it's a really strange thing. And for me, this kind of helps to describe the anxiety of a collective. So actually, when it stops being a collective and it starts kind of being a family and being difficult, and there's not actually a dishes fairy. So this is a cup that's been in tin roof. It's still there, actually. And it's got a really nice culture growing inside it. And yeah, so I think it's just interesting how we get to this point of difficulty and anxiety, and actually art becomes less of a driving force and we start becoming a little bit dysfunctional. And I'll pass you on to Katie. It definitely has a feeling of a dysfunctional family, but within that respect as well, when you walk about the studios, you don't just feel the passive-aggressive notes or the slight mess of the place, you also feel a sense of community. We all need to worry less. Like, as an art collective, it is a great part of something to be involved with. It's... there's so much you can do within a collective as well that you can't necessarily do on your own. You can start building relationships, form friendships, and do things for the community. Getting them involved and sharing your vision with them, and that is so much easier to do when you're part of something. There's such a huge importance that Tin Roof's done and been a part of over the past 5 years, and I'm so privileged, I feel, to be part of that right now. We've hosted many large-scale events, and we've been a great platform for students as well. This is an example right now of a student exhibition that was hosted not even that long ago, where we're letting people showcase their work at an early stage, which I think is very important, because when you leave university, it is hard to find places and gain that experience when you don't have places you can approach and have that experience. We've also hosted larger scale events, which have been, this is an example of the art crawl hosted not that long ago. But you can see the variety of people, the variety of events, and that is an important thing to have in Dundee, and for you to be able to approach that and be able to be involved with that. And yes, it can be isolating, working in a studio and being consumed by your work or a collective, but by the same time, it's also really exciting. This is Charlie here. She's about to have one of her first solo shows. I know she feels really honoured as well just to be getting that opportunity out there. One of the many things Tin Roofs ran as well, part of its time, is an internship. This is Stephen Peebles. He was one of the last interns. And I think it has really educated and influenced my practice, being able to be a part of that and being able to be part of a committee that can help you structure art projects. I'll pass you on to Dennis now.
So we are in a position of change. We're a changing collective. We're currently facing a huge difficulty, which you may or may not know about. We have to leave our home. We have to move out of the building that we have on your street. But that's not the end of our collective. It opens the door for us to work in response to the needs of the artists that are here. And we have literally had thousands of artists walk through that door into Tin Roof, to our events, to use our studios, just in collaborative ventures. And so we're in a position where we're changing. And part of what we're going to be doing is opening the Tin Roof Ceramics Collective. So this is the work of Rose Head, who's one of our current studio holders and one of our current members. And the Ceramics Collective has been built from a very generous offer. We got given 2 kilns, and they're huge. They're bigger than I am. Like, I could sit in there quite happily and use it as a studio space. It'd do me fine when Tin Roof closes. This is the work of Ali Kay, another one of our current studio holders. And the Ceramics Collective would be an amazing opportunity. It would create an access for these kilns, for technical expertise. We've got a position available for one of our, for an employed staff member, and it would create a community of like-minded artists to work with and learn from. It's an amazing opportunity, and we do this because we need to. We need help. We need more people to take this on, but this is Tin Roof. Thanks, guys.
Oh, love the dysfunctional but happy family. I'm sure we all relate to that in different senses. I know the team that work with me probably think that after today. Great, and it's great to hear where Tin Roof's going. That's so exciting. I think that's our first as well, so brilliant to hear about, I meant. Next up, we're going to hear from Matthew. Now, you are sitting in the UK's only UNESCO City of Design. Whoop! And this is the inaugural Dundee Design Festival, and it's been pretty phenomenal as well. So it's pretty obvious when you go out there why we're a kind of city of design, but maybe the heritage is less well known. So I don't know, maybe Matthew is going to tell us more about where that heritage has come from. Matthew is from University of Dundee. He's a curator at the museum's collection. And please welcome Matthew up to the stage.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, so as Gillian cunningly read my mind, I'm going to take you back into Dundee's design past and give you a whirlwind tour of 10 notable Dundee designers. And we're going to start back in the 18th century with a chap called James Wright Jr. You'll see his name on the bottom there. He's been described as Dundee's first industrial product designer, and the particular product that he designed, as you can see from these images, are coins. Now, at that time, as now, only the Royal Mint could produce official coins, but he came up with a scheme of local coinage, a bit like the Bristol pound today, that coins could be spent locally on goods and services, and these are just some of the many designs that he came up with, a lot of them featuring notable Dundee landmarks, some of which no longer survive, like the Trades Hall, for example. Now, you probably recognise this statue just outside the McManus. This is James Carmichael, engineering designer, and probably what he's best known for designing is the thing that he's actually leaning against on this picture. This is part of the apparatus called a fan blast, and this basically provided a continuous, safe form of ventilation for iron furnaces, and that completely transformed the production of iron and steel in factories, not just here, but around the world, massively influential. Among the many other designs that he did were the very first locomotives on the Dundee to Newtile Railway, which, as many of you know, is one of the very first railways in the world to carry passengers, and all sorts of other things. Next, I want to tell you about Dundee's first kind of international design superstar. This is Bruce Talbot, and in the mid-19th century, he was one of the most famous designers in Britain. He specialised in Gothic furniture, incredibly over-elaborate pieces of furniture like this. He won a major award at an international design exhibition in Paris for this. But he also became very well known for wallpaper designs. And some of his designs are actually much more forward-looking. This kind of thing really anticipates the work of William Morris and the arts and crafts movement. And so he was really quite forward-thinking in that regard. At the time that he died, he was described as the most important interior designer since Chippendale. And yet almost nobody's heard of him today. So we really need to change that. Now, you might recognise this building. This is the City Gymnasium in Ward Road. It's still there. It's still a gym. The roof has completely changed, so that's why you might not recognise it. But all of the carvings on this, including the statue at the top, were by a really notable late 19th century designer called James E.D. Reed. Reed started his career as an illustrator at the Dundee Advertiser. He also did diagrams for Darcy Thompson. But he then went down to England and became very successful doing church decoration, particularly stained glass, murals, and so on. There are numerous churches all around England that have his work, and he's really well known down there, far better known than he is here in his native Dundee. Now, by this time in the late 19th century, Dundee was able to teach far more advanced design thanks to this gentleman on the left here. This is Thomas Delgatti Dunn, the first full-time art master at Dundee Technical Institute, and it's thanks to him that eventually grew and evolved into Duncan of Jordanson College of Art and Design. Some of the student works you'll see here, this is the kind of thing you would have seen in the degree shows of the 1890s. Of Dunn's own designs, there's actually not that much there, partly because he didn't really have much time because he was teaching so much. But probably what he's best known for designing is the University Mace, which we still carry at graduations and various other ceremonies like that. Now, collectives is one of our themes tonight, so I want to tell you about Dundee's very first design collective. It was founded by the gentleman on the left here, top left. This is John Duncan, probably the most famous painter that Dundee produced at the turn of the last century. And he had this great vision of a kind of school or of workshop of design in Dundee that would bring together all sorts of creative talent, including many of the people that you see here. A lot of women were involved in this. This is really the first time we start to see professional women designers in the city, producing all kinds of material like the things that you see here. Now, this was only ever an informal group, but they did get official recognition. The Lord Provost commissioned them in 1907 to design a civic banner for the city, which you see at the bottom right here, that was carried in processions and so on. That's now in the McManus's collection. Okay, comics, of course, is something that Dundee's very famous for in the 20th century, but that talent actually goes back much further. In the late 19th century, we were already producing a lot of really talented cartoonists and graphic designers. This is a work by one of them, a chap called Alec P.F. Ritchie. He started his career in a shipyard office, was doing illustrations for local magazines like the Piper of Dundee. He then went down to London and became hugely fashionable as a cartoonist. The piece on the left is from a series that he did called Studies in Straight Lines and Curves. He also did a lot of poster designs, various other things. He directed one of the very first animated cartoons in Britain, so a real pioneer in a lot of different fields. Now, back to the Art College. Between 1922 and 1960, the head of design at the Art College was this gentleman. This is Alec Russell, a wonderful painting of him here by Mackintosh Patrick from 1930. Russell was a real character. He used to wander around the Art College with cats coming out of his pockets. But he became really well known as a stained glass designer. And you'll see examples of his stained glass all around Dundee and indeed in many other places as well. The photo on the left here is one of his earliest designs, a couple of windows that he did as a First World War memorial in St Mary Magdalene's Church. What he's probably best known for are the windows in the city chambers that many of you I'm sure will have seen, and these are the original designs for them, which again are in the McManus's collection. Textile design. This is an image by a Glasgow School of Art student in the late 20s called Angela Bradshaw. In the early 30s, she came to Dundee to teach textile design at the Art College and eventually became head of the department. She was an expert in costume design around the world. This is one of the books that she wrote on that subject. And that was really important in a scheme that she was one of the founder members of called the Needlework Development Scheme. Really influential. It was run by the 4 Scottish art colleges. They sent researchers all around the world to collect examples of embroidery as a national teaching resource. When it was split up, the 4 colleges got the bulk of it, so we have a really large part of that collection here in Dundee. And collectively, it's one of the best collections of textile design anywhere in the country. And finally, I want to end with an area that Dundee is now really specialising in, and that's surgical instrument design. This is Ian Smiley. He was Professor of Orthopaedics at the medical school for many years, and his speciality was injuries of the knee. This is one of the key books that he wrote about it in 1946. At that time, there were no specialist instruments for knee surgery, so he designed his own. This is his original set of instruments on the top right here. We have them in the Medical History Museum at Nimewells. He managed to get an American company to mass produce these. Nobody in Scotland was willing to produce them. And they ended up getting sold all around the world, and then every surgeon in the world was using these for meniscectomies. So that's just a few examples of some of the many, many talents that Dundee's produced over the years, and I'll stop there. Thank you very much.
Methinks Matthew's done that before. That was very impressive. Wow. I couldn't keep up. It's brilliant. Really good. Thanks, Matthew. Okay, next we're going to hear from Carol Suter. And Carol runs this amazing company called Jelly and Gin, who do unforgettable edible adventures and experiences and that delight the senses. And I've definitely experienced one, and I would recommend you all do too. Please welcome Carol to the stage.
Hello. So, as Gillian said, my name is Carol Suter, and I am Creative Director of Jelly and Gin. And she also said my first line, which is, we bring ideas to life by creating unforgettable edible adventures. I'm going to talk about our work, but first I want to just tell you a little bit more about me and kind of why I ended up doing what I'm doing now. I grew up in a wee village in Angus, just outside of Dundee. I did a degree in fine art at Glasgow. I worked in theatre for a while, and then I moved to Dublin, where I worked in advertising as an art director. I moved back to Scotland a few years ago, and I wanted to use my creative skills to do something that was more in my interest. So this is my dad. My dad taught me that food was something more than fuel. He taught me that food was something to be shared and explored. That it was a way into other cultures, and he was always experimenting with new food and new flavours. He also dragged me up the hills picking wild blaeberries. He also sent me to pick tatties and raspberries every holiday. But I feel very connected to Scotland's kind of food tradition through those experiences as a child. It's just a tiny window into where my kind of love of food started, but it explains a little bit, and I'll talk about Jelly and Gin now. I'm not talking fast enough. So we aim to challenge and delight the senses and to deliver projects where complex ideas shared around food and drink become more accessible, memorable, thought-provoking, and opinion-forming. Food is such a sensory medium that we can use it to connect with people in a very immediate, fun, and engaging way. So this is an event that we do called Watch and Wolf. It's a multi-sensory cinema event. We augment films by serving food, drink, and aromas to match moments in the film. Mr. Wolf signals the moments. Guests are given a box of numbered items, and Mr. Wolf tells you when to eat which thing. The possibilities are endless because the food can be conceptual as well as literal. Breathe. History is a really rich area to explore through food. Obviously, food has a history, but this was an event that we did for the National Library of Scotland a couple of years ago to celebrate the Murray archive. So the Murrays were a Scottish family that published Sir Walter Scott, James Hogg, Byron. So we did an event where we created edible seals. This is leather that was inspired by the archive of explorers who wrote about having to eat their leather belts and the hide from the windows of the bothy before they started eating each other. Science is another kind of area that we explore. I mean, obviously, food is chemistry and eating is psychology. This was an event that we did for the Science Festival. We worked with Professor Charles Spence, who does lots of research into the psychology of eating and how we can influence our perceptions of food by changing the environment. That's something that we explore and exploit in our events. These are aromasphere boxes that we use for whiskey tasting experiments. Another area of, turn the page. Another area that we explore through our food is collaboration. We work with lots of different people who have a wide range of skills and talents, and Create Eat was a project that began at the very start of the Jelly Engine journey. It was a bit of an experiment to see what we could do. We put a call out for people to see if they would come and join us in creating something out of nothing, because we had no budget. We were overwhelmed by the response of the talent that wanted to get involved. So we ended up creating this amazing dinner in a disused church in Edinburgh. It was not an economically viable way of working, so we didn't do it again until we were asked a year later by Event Scotland if we would do an innovative whiskey tasting event. So we thought it would be a really good model to use, because it was really unlike anything that was being done with whiskey at the time. Our concept was to explore the whiskey making process through sight and sound. This is one of our collaborators, sound artist Jan Sejnik, who created this brilliant soundtrack for the whole event, entirely from sounds that he recorded in the whiskey distillery. So the event took place in Edinburgh in an old factory, and these are a small selection of the images that guests took and uploaded to social media after the event. So that was a big success. The following year we did the project again. It was a lot more ambitious. We took guests from one environment into another. So we took them up a mountain. We used projections to kind of change the atmosphere. We served food that appeared to be growing in the landscape. And after they'd been up the hill, we took them down into this really warm bothy and served them cocktails that were on fire. So what started life as a wild experiment kind of turned into a tried and tested experiential format. So that's just a few of the kind of things that we do. What's next? I couldn't come to talk about food in Dundee without mentioning marmalade, because I love marmalade. I really love all bitter tasting foods. It's one of my favourite flavours. But bitter is a flavour that's kind of being manufactured out of the kind of Western modern food landscape in favour of salt and sugar. So that's a project that's in development at the moment. And that is all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carol. That was brilliant, and I'm sure we would welcome the orangey goodness of marmalade. I went to Watching Wolf, and if anybody remembers the bit in the Gremlins when the orange juice blender goes crazy, when you get to squirt that into your mouth like that, and it's kind of got alcohol in it while you're watching the Gremlins, it's a really good experience. So do check out Jelly and Gin. Thank you, Carol. Okay, one more before break. That went quick. So really pleased to welcome Rafe Larson to the stage. Rafe, his book, The Selected Works of T.S. Spivet, was a really great bestseller, New York bestseller, and translated into loads of different languages. He's actually based over in St Andrews University as international writer in residence, and his last book last year was I Am Radar. And I should say Selected Works of T.S. Spivet has been turned into a really fantastic film, which I love, which is on a certain on-demand service called Netflix. That you'll find it there, and it's a really lovely story. So please welcome Rafe to the stage.
Wow, there are a lot of you. Hello. So in honor of Design Festival, I want to talk a little bit about the fraught collision of information, text and image in particular. I'm not a designer, I'm a novelist. This is my first book called The Selected Works of T.S. Spivet. And it was about a 12-year-old genius mapmaker. And the book itself kind of took on this collision of text and image, in that the margins of the books were populated by images drawn by this kid trying to interpret and understand the world of adults. So it had all these little diagrams of the strangeness that we perform as humans. One of my long-standing fascinations and influences for the book were information graphics. In this age of big data, we've increasingly relied on ways of visualizing tons of information in our lives, like this, the daily routines of famous creative people. And I don't know, like you, if you look at these things, you have this intensity. I call it an infogasm, in that you look at it and you digest so much information at once, your head explodes a little bit. This is the leftward shift in 2008 during the Obama campaign, during the election. And you're like, oh my God, I understand everything. And then you're like, do I? There's this intense drop-off where you're like, do I understand anything? And then there's this kind of gray area where you're like, I understand some things. And I think as a storyteller, I'm interested in that gray area. I want to kind of, after that initial, I want to, put you in there. So let's take a look at this one, right? This is which birth dates are most common. Of course, the first thing we all do is look for our own birth date. And we're like, yes! And then we're like, well, what does that mean? And then we, then the stories kind of emerge. Okay, people are having sex a lot in the winter, I guess, is the story of this one. In T.S. Spivet, I think infographics are best when they both are personal and also cultural. On the left, T.S.'s brother dies, and he maps dinner table conversations before and after the death. And on the right, when he first sees a city for the first time, which happens to be Chicago, he maps litter, and he's this kind of, oh my God, look how much trash there are. One of my other influences is cartoons and comics. And Glenn Baxter, I really recommend you check it out. He mines this crazy collision of text and image like no one. Welcome, my friends, to another evening of Dutch poetry. What? And I love that confusion. Of course, we are in Dundee, where comics are prevalent. Graphic novels use information and tell stories in very interesting ways. In this first panel, we're shown a man with an axe, very angry man. And in the second panel, we hear a scream over a night sky. And we're not shown any of the mayhem in between. It all happens in that white space, and that's very important, that white space. That's storytelling space. Scott McCloud calls that the gutter, and he says the act of linking those two images together is closure. And as a storyteller, I think about closure a lot, and I think about what we tell and what we don't tell to tell our stories. The gutter is my friend. A lot of gutter work goes on in airline information safety cards. I don't know if you're obsessed with them like I am, but if your plane is going down, dear passenger, follow these 4 easy steps and you will be safe. Put your mask on, don't smoke while you put your mask on, and then put your mask on your child. But of course, that's not how it would look. It would look a lot more like this, and you would be pushing your child away. So I like that there's, behind every diagram, behind every information graphic, there's a kind of shadow diagram. And I think about this a lot. Right after 9/11, the American government went kind of crazy, and they made this information clearinghouse for what to do in the event of a terrorist attack called ready.gov. But I think because they wanted to reach as many people, they didn't use any words, which created these really surreal diagrams, which were not helpful at all. So the people reacted and supplied their own captions, of course. And so again, this really fraught collision of text and image, new stories were created. I think they were just trying to figure out what the fuck was going on, but I love this caption so much, and I want to shake that person's hand. Information graphics can also be weaponized. During the very fraught healthcare debates, the Republicans created intentionally confusing maps of the proposed Obamacare to really put a knife in the agenda of the Democrats, and this pissed off designers, right? Showing information is difficult enough, but to intentionally be confusing was the last straw. So there was a whole contest in the design community to come up with a map or a diagram of the healthcare system. I find this beautiful, but also really confusing. So maybe healthcare in America is just really confusing, no matter what you did. The infographics kind of came to a head right after the execution of bin Laden, because what we wanted as a culture was sort of a full feature film the day after. This is impossible, of course, so the burden fell on our graphic and our visual data people. And so these crazy graphs and information graphics were created with very little information. It pulled in clip art and none of this was true. They were telling lies, but we want more images. We want our infogasms. So we had to stop as a culture and say, okay, what's going on? How do we feed this beast? And actually, there was a manifesto that started. It said, infographics are neither illustrations nor art. Infographics are visual journalism and must be governed by the same ethical standards that apply to other areas of the profession. And I like this, but I disagree. I mean, I think, yes, we need visual journalism standards, but we got to respect the infogasm, There's something that's so beautiful about images that text can never do. Like, look at this. It's so pleasing. It's so wonderful, and you can't explain it. You just have to bask in its glories. Should we change something? I don't know. Thank you.
Oh, that was brilliant. Thank you so much, Rafe. It was an infogasm, yeah? It was brilliant. Okay, that's us for the first half. We've got another 6 speakers after a break, but before then, I'm just going to say, where are all the countries in the world that people have come from that are not Scotland to get here today? 1, where have you come from? Sorry, Germany? Yeah. USA and Germany. Cleveland. Where? Oh, Finland. Sorry, I should know this. I spent time with you. That's terrible. Feel so bad. Sorry, anybody else? Forfar? Any takers on Forfar? Who else? Who else have we got up here? Sorry, God, it's so mental up here. I'm so sorry, everybody. Are you okay up here? Yeah? Okay. I can see Graz. Graz is here in the house. Finland, more Finland. London. Any other takers? Sorry? Northern Ireland?
Amsterdam.
Where are you from?
Amsterdam.
Amsterdam. Look at this. What an audience. We've got New York in the audience. China. Anybody else? So go and hang out with these wonderful people. Diane, you live here. All right. Okay. So, yeah, well, thank you very much to all of our visitors for coming, and thanks to everybody that's tuned in onto the live stream. We'll be back in 20 minutes, and we'll be back on live stream in 20 minutes as well. What else? Yeah, that's it. Please go and check out the exhibition. It's marvellous. It's wonderful. There's some limited drinks available in the canteen, and just generally enjoy. Thank you very much. Hello. Yes, okay. Welcome back. We're going to try and draw everybody back in, which I think is going to be quite hard. But yeah, once everybody starts hearing me, oh yeah, they're running. There's people running, that's good. So I hope you agree we've had a pretty incredible first half. We've got an equally incredible second half. But before that, we're going to do the pass the mic section. And wow, it's a lot of people. Oh, thank you. Do you want to? Hi. Okay. Oh, sorry. Evening. Hello. Okay. So the next section is the chance for you to shout out things that you've got coming up, events, opportunities, things. The name of the game is keeping it super brief, and we will accept the first 10, 20 hands that shoot up in the air to tell other people about things. Wow. Okay. So get ready to stick your hands up. Those that are back already, you are good people for being back. Wow. I see that's a very definite hand, Ali McGill. That's brilliant. I love it. 2 seconds. It's going to be quite difficult to get to you. Does anybody want to... Oh, you put your hand up to help. That's great. No, Caitlin. Would you like to accompany me with another mic? Would you be up for that? You can speak, but just in order of fastness. Is that cool? Like, yeah. So basically when people zoom their hand up, just so that we can cover, because it's mental, is that cool? Yeah. But you can speak first and then, well, perfect you. Wherever you fancy. Okay, here we go. Okay, somebody timing the 10 minutes starting now. Ali McGill.
Thank you and hello. I'm Ali McGill. I'm doing a talk in here tomorrow with Professors Sue Black and Niamh Dade. But we're also doing something called Up Front, which is an initiative by Lauren Curry, Red Jotter. And Up Front's about giving people that aren't used to being on a stage a chance to be on the stage and just sit there with us as we talk and present. So we've got one space, or we can make more. If anyone wants to join us, it's 3 o'clock in here tomorrow. Come and be up front with us.
Thank you, Ali. Okay, next. There was one there. Please put up your hands and we'll come to you. Okay.
Hello everyone, I just want to let you know about a performance that's happening in this building tomorrow evening called Remembering Witch's Blood. Some of you may remember Witch's Blood from almost 30 years ago. Tomorrow evening, apparently it's going to be a haunting symphony of singing voices, spoken word, broken stories in a dramatic industrial environment. So tomorrow evening in this building, 7 p.m, 8 p.m, or 9 p.m. Get your tickets on the door.
Hi, Tin Roof again. I mentioned that we are closing our building and leaving, but we still have a huge program of events going on until the end of June. So keep in touch with our social media and our website and we'll announce things on there. Our closing event will be in partnership with Print Festival Scotland. We're going to have a queue and a zine fair, so come along to that. And yeah, we're not gone yet.
Oh, thank you. Okay, anybody next?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hello. On Saturday, we are recreating the Royal Arch out of cardboard boxes, and we can't do it without your help. There's going to be 1,200 boxes, and they get very heavy when they're stuck together. So we're starting at 11, but we want to spread the word that come later. Come at lunchtime, come any time through the day. As it gets bigger, we need more help, so do come. Thank you. Slessor Gardens, behind the Caird Hall, that new green bit. It's the first chance to get in the grass.
Okay, hi everyone. My name's Dee and I'm part of the DigiCAD residency. And we've got an exhibition called Momentum, which is at Blackness Library, which started last night, unfortunately the same time as the opening today. Last night. And but our exhibition runs till Saturday and it's at Blackness Library, so you should just come along and have a look at all the great work we've been making for the last year. Okay?
Hi everybody, my name's Joanne and I run Tea Green Events. We've got a pop-up boutique down at the old flour mill, the Exchange Court off Exchange Street, the Flame Tree and Hard Grinder on the corner, and you kind of go down there and follow the lovely signs and the glorious work is hidden away. We've got 35 makers from all over Scotland, really high quality, beautiful handmade stuff. Some of you have flyers, sorry I kind of ran out, it wasn't selective, but yeah, please come along, we're on till Sunday 10 to 5. Thank you.
Hi, we're Dundee Acoustic Music Club. We put on acoustic music gigs the third Sunday of every month, afternoon concerts. If you come along to the Rosangle Arts Cafe Hall this Sunday, we've got Bruce Molsky, twice Grammy-nominated fiddle player from North America, and you can check out our flyers. There are more events coming up. Just come and have a chat with me or Ruther Clare if you have any questions.
Me? Hello, I'm Anna and I'm from the Design Festival. Just to alert you all, there's loads of exciting events and workshops happening over the next 2 days, as well as the exhibition. And if you loved Matthew Jarron, which of course you all did, you can get more Matthew on Saturday morning at 12. Who could resist? And also, if anybody in the audience has an Android charger, can you shout?
Hi, I'm Sarah Cook, and Neon Digital Arts Festival has popped up an inflatable data cloud in the Wellgate Shopping Centre, and if you like Jordan Geiger's talk tonight, you can get more of that tomorrow. He'll be talking from noon on a panel with some other people, noon till 1 tomorrow in the Wellgate Centre next to Iceland in our data cloud, followed by some short digital animations all about how you feel about the architecture and the city and the digital. Thanks.
Hello, I'm Richard from Specs Pistols, and you no longer have to come to the shop because we now have a fully functioning website, specspistols.com, and to celebrate it, the Tekel currency is no longer a non-usable currency. People can bring Tekel currency into Specs Pistols where you can redeem it. 1,000 Tekels equals £1. And you can use it up to £10 as of tomorrow.
Hi everyone, my name's Jean, and together with a couple of friends, I started VisCon CIC, short for Visual Connection. It's just a few friends coming together, helping to promote student artwork. And we've got a website, www.visconcic.co.uk. Feel free to check us out. And anyone, we're expanding our team. Anyone wants to join us, come have a chat.
Thank you. Hi everyone, my name's Helen. I'm from an agency called Tactile. We're producing a summer school and events program over in Glasgow this July. It's called Test Unit. It's about architecture, art, design and the city, and it's open to anyone, and I mean anyone who has an interest in how our cities are designed, developed and put together. Summer school is a week-long intensive program, and then there'll be a supporting events program that's run as a separate kind of public opportunity to learn and hear from some really progressive, really exciting European practitioners around the fields of art, design and architecture. Deadline for the summer school is Monday the 6th of June, and tickets for the events are open soon.
Okay, hi, I'm Vicky from Angus Open Studios. So there's a few people here today. We started today, it runs through until Monday. 52 makers, artists, designers, over 36 venues, from Lift, Teeling, the Angus Coast, up to Forfeit and Kirriemuir. Come and see us. It's a great insight to all we do. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Over somewhere.
Hello. My name's Isla Spalding, and I'll be the jeweller in residence for Scottish Jewellery Week in here for the next 2 days, and I'll be designing and making a piece of jewellery inspired by the building, and it'll be auctioned.
So as Gillian's just said, I'm Kerry, and I'm the designer and maker behind Kerry Aldo. I specialise in menswear and womenswear coat and jacket designs, which are all handmade in Scotland. The main focus is durable fabrics, quality hand-picked linens and a unique attention to detail. My main aim is to create quality investment pieces which are produced for everyday wear, and everything's handmade on an individual basis. So as I say, it's all made in Scotland, but in fact it's actually made from a studio here in Dundee. And it's a really important thing for me to be able to make it here myself, because when I started to like I started sewing before really I even knew how, and that kind of got me questioning where our clothes are actually made. I began to wonder how all these global companies can sell t-shirts for £5, things like that. So I started to learn a bit more about that, and that's why this is a main value for me. So this is just a little snapshot of my studio. And then I've extended the range beyond coats and jackets now, but all the values remain. So I just want to talk a bit more about how the mass market industry works. So this is just a kind of snapshot of a factory set up. The people work long days, paid maybe $3 a day. Some of them actually sleep on the factory floor, and it's all to feed our need for fast fashion. I think we should kind of live by, start to change things. This quote kind of sums it up for me. The bitterness of poor quality remains long after the sweetness of the low price is forgotten. And this kind of rings true. I'm going to talk a bit about a disaster that actually happened in Bangladesh in 2013, where over 1,000 garment workers lost their lives in this collapse, and also 2,500 were injured. And they were making basically clothes that we buy in shops like Primark and all that sort of thing. So that was just a bit about why I feel it's important for me to make my things here in Dundee. This is just one of my t-shirts I'm currently working on for spring summer. So like I say, this extends into the smaller items, accessories, t-shirts and things like that. So now I'm just going to tell you a bit about how I actually started. And a quote should pop up, which was the first quote I ever made. It was actually from a boyfriend while I was still at uni, and I think I actually made it for him because I was too skint to buy him something decent. So it was made from a mix of shop-bought materials and old shirts, which was a big interest of mine, recycling clothes and things like that. And then after uni I started working, doing fashion workshops in schools, and then started working alongside Hayley Scanlon. And I've popped this photo in here because just to show a bit about how fast-paced the design industry can be. This is me and Hayley cutting her mum's wedding dress, which we made, I think it was 2 years ago now. And that photo was taken 3 days before the wedding, so there was no dress. There was absolutely no dress. So in 2014 I launched my website, because before that I was basically working on a made-to-order basis where everything was custom. So this was the start of the ready-to-wear range. So now I offer ready-to-wear, bespoke and one-off coat designs. This is a project I've completed for the Design Festival, which you can see out in the gallery. And as I've touched on before, I've always been interested in recycling fabrics and things like that, and that's been increasingly difficult while offering a ready-to-wear collection. So I've been saving for quite some time now all the scraps and cut-offs from my waxed jackets, and this is the coat I've produced purely from fabrics that would have otherwise been wasted. And I've managed to source a recycled polyester satin lining, which absolutely no new materials have been used in the making of. So that's the coat, and you can see it out in the gallery there. So this is some of my most recent works. Waxed cotton jacket, and this is one of the dresses from my extended range. The jungle print's a bit crazy, but it's been quite popular. So now I just want to talk a bit about the benefits of actually working in Dundee and having a studio here. So the main benefits for me are that I have complete control over my own business. I can design basically everything to my needs, and it gives me like a close working relationship with customers when I'm doing custom orders and things like that. Other highlights is just doing fun things when I want to. So I've made a few custom kids jackets just for gifts, and that's turned into a really popular thing. A photo should come up quite soon, which is quite cute. So the red one there was one of the first ones I made, and then that's Rufus modelling his for his 3rd birthday. But I'm always getting requests for kids' coats now, but that's one of the good things. I can literally tailor to anyone's needs and communicate with people. And also, I find that I do some of my best designs when I'm actually making. So this is one of my quotes being used in the knitwear designer Hilary Grant's photo shoot. So it's really pleasing to see when things like that happen and people are actually wearing my coat, and I've had great response from the public and really good support from people in Dundee. Another highlight has been picked for the Scotland Redesign Showcase, which took place in Glasgow at the end of last year. And I've been stocked in 2 shops in the first year of my business. And lastly, I'm going to finish with a photo of my cat, Meg, in her very own custom Kerry Aldo coat made from the now iconic Crazy Cat fabric. And she absolutely hates it. Thanks for listening to me.
That was brilliant. Thank you so much, Carrie. That was brilliant. What a great story and journey. And yeah, that was brilliant. See, this is why Pecha Kucha is so good. You get to hear so many stories. It's so lovely. Okay. Next, we're going to head to another really important collective in the city of Dundee. Generator has been going for about 20 years, I believe, and it offers and provides a really important space for exhibitions, for just connecting artists, community, everybody together. And so Daniel, I think, is going to come up and speak about Generator. So please welcome Generator to the stage.
Hello. Hello there. Thank you. So I'm Daniel, and I'm from Generator. As Gillian mentioned, we've been going for 20 years now. Generator is a collective of artists, and over the last 3 years as I've been part of it, it's been growing and growing and growing. So since 1999, we've been occupying this space, or that space, on Midwind Industrial Estate. And we're primarily known for putting on exhibitions such as this. So this is an exhibition we did last year called They Had 4 Years, where we took a group of recent graduates and showed them during the last 2015's degree show. So we're primarily known for exhibiting stuff. This was a kind of a nothing space that we had. This was termed our members space, and it kind of didn't really serve a function. So a year and a half ago, we decided to completely change that. We had several problems. We had a growing archive. We had a growing base of members who we hardly ever saw. And we had a problem with coldness. So because we're in an industrial estate, it gets freezing in the wintertime. Even in the summertime, when it's really sunny outside, it's absolute Baltic in there. So we were suffering loads of flus, and it's really hard to do art admin when you're really ill. So we decided to take this space and open it up a wee bit. So we asked 2 artists to come in and redesign our space completely. And then we ran a Kickstarter. And thanks to some of our membership in the wider Dundee art scene, we were able to raise £6,000 to pay 2 artists to completely redevelop it. So we came to them with several problems: that we wanted an open office space, we wanted it to be warm, and we wanted it to house our archive. And they gave us this drawing, and we said, that's not what we want. So then we took it to our membership and we said, what do you want? And our membership came back and they said, we want it to be warm, and we want a space where we can do talks, where we can talk about our artwork, where we can screen films, and we can show our friends the films that we've been making. So this is one of our artists here. So they took our comments and redesigned their design, and then completely threw it all out the window. And went just in with loads of insulation and the idea of this skylight. So they discovered the skylight was completely blacked over years ago, and they just wanted to clear it out and bring some natural light into the space. So with some natural light, we got a bit of focus, and we realized we could insulate the place and we could house our archive, but we couldn't go crazy Apple design studio. So they ripped out all the interior spaces and they transformed it into this, with a mezzanine level and an area to put our office in, and completely re-insulated it so it was nice and warm. I was expecting the next slide by now, but I'll just keep talking. So on top of all this, they created this space for our archive. So this allowed us to put boxes of 20 years worth of artists collected material. So there's some water-damaged artworks, some films, and a whole load of documents from the bank and from power people who we're obliged to hold. So this is what our space now looks like. So we have an open office space that people can come in, and when we're sitting and vigilling shows, we can talk to the members as they come in, and we can talk to other visitors. We have space, we have lots of chairs to house conversations and for people to sit on. We have a zine library, so we can now start selling zines from our artists, and they can start making money back from this. We have a library space as well, so all the library books that we've collected in our research of 20 years can now be used by our membership. We have a multifunctional table space as well for people to use in a sort of hot desking way. We have a new kitchen area so that we can put on food events, but we're not necessarily a food venue. So if we want, we can also slide it aside and we don't need to think about it anymore. Okay, so this is our opening last November. And we were suddenly able to get so many more people into the space and so many more people using the space day in, week out. So as you can see, it's quite a good social space and we can house a lot of people in it. But then also, if we go to the next slide, we can also have really small groups in it. So this was one of the important things, is it allows us to create a safe space for people to discuss art. So quite often in the city, you may be talking in really large groups during workshops. This allows people to put on their own small workshops and kind of test out ideas that they're not really ready to take out into the public. So this is also one of our artists that you saw on one of the previous short slides, Christopher McInnes. And so it also allowed us to bridge the gap between our audiences and between the artists that we have come in. So quite often we have artists coming in from either from further afield in Scotland or from further afield in the UK. And they'll maybe come for 1 or 2 days to install their artwork and then they'll leave. So this allows us now for them to come back and do talks later on and to kind of explain some of their ideas. It also allows us to do performances. So this is a performance at our opening event from Pernilla Spence. And so because the space is big and you can kind of have the space to move about, there's a lot more opportunity to do performances while us taking down our previous exhibitions. We've also had some workshops come in. So this is a zine workshop that people have done. So this allowed artists who were just graduating from DJ CAD to pass on their knowledge to the next generation of artists coming up. So this is a recent another performance event that we did, investigating our archive. So this is our next big project, is to recatalog our archive and turn it into a useful resource that can function and can help educate people later on. So finally, here is the potential of the space. So if you'd like to get involved and if you'd like to use this space for either a screening, an art workshop, or a performance, you can go onto our website at www.generatorprojects.co.uk and you'll find our collective space guideline form. And you go on and fill this out and we'll get back to you with a date that you could use the space.
Great, thanks very much, Daniel. It's great to see that new space come into light, and it's part of our new crowdsource guide. Just plug that again. So please do go and visit Generator just off Perth Road. Thank you. Next, we're going to hear, I just wanted to say thank you to all the lovely live stream people who are like shouting out all their feedback. It's great to see Colin and John and everybody online, so thank you for taking part. So we're going to hear from Claire Cooper next. Claire has been part of the team developing the Art of Living Dangerously, which has been exploring alternative economies and alternative balance sheets and all sorts of things. She, in her words, is addicted to reaching beyond her grasp, which I think I know all too well as well. And she's set up several ventures, and I think she's going to tell us more. So please welcome Claire Cooper.
Hello, I'm Claire. I'm also a member of Fleet Collective here in Dundee, and I'm one of a group of people who've been developing this new platform called the Art of Living Dangerously. Now, essentially, it's a peer learning network that very intentionally takes the position that if we're to navigate this increasingly precarious set of conditions that we're all facing and actually help build a more sustainable world for ourselves and for others, then we need to find and learn new ways to work, risk, and live. And that's what we mean by the art of living dangerously. Now, the central idea that we've come up with in order to help us live dangerously really well is the alternative balance sheet. Now, a traditional balance sheet, as you'll know, is a financial statement, durations, and even use shocks and disturbances to actually spur renewal. And the good news is that research across all creative fields shows that we already have many of those adaptive capacities to help build that resilience. So once we've kind of clarified our values and our ethos, kind of dug down into our own self-awareness, if you like, we're ready to move on to the next stage of the journey, which is to actually understand our value. Now, our value is different from our values, which shape our belief. Our value is about the worth and importance that our work has for other people and for ourselves. And we've come up with 4 different areas that we think if we drill down into, we can get pretty good understanding our value. The first is our assets, identifying our intangible and tangible assets. And actually deploying them to best effect. We don't always do that. The second is to actually articulate all the different kinds of value that we bring to the table. Now, cultural value is a huge issue at the moment, as you'll know. It's often very academically framed, still generally focuses on the economic. So we've created a taxonomy of 8 different kinds of value that we think pretty much covers everything. And then that should bring us on to being able to talk about our impact, the results, and what happens as a result of our work. What does improve? How do we inspire? How can we collect all of that information to actually help draw new resources to help us build that sustainable livelihood? And then we should be in a good position to actually decide whether we're pricing ourselves correctly. Again, the Paying Artists campaign, I know Tin Roof or Generator had them recently, really big deal at the moment for all the reasons that we know. But we don't want to just focus on pounds and pence. We want to look at how we might experiment with different kinds of currencies and different ways of trading value too. So now that we've done quite a lot of homework, we're going to be ready to populate the alternative balance sheet canvas that we've prototyped on the website and actually start telling that new story of who we are, why we do what we do, what value we bring and what impact it has. We don't want to get rid of the traditional balance sheet altogether just now, but we want to run this alongside it, telling that powerful new story. And as we get really good at telling that story, we should be in a much stronger position to actually decide how we want to grow our impact in ways that actually align with our values and in ways that will help grow the kinds of values we need to build a more sustainable world. And that's not just about what we produce and consume, which is what government and funders very often want of us. It's actually going to be about how we grow our capabilities and expertise, how we see our role in the bigger systems of which we're all part and collaborate across every conceivable boundary and move from a reactive problem-solving mode to actually creating the future that we truly desire. Capabilities that we should be able to hone by expanding our networks of relationships outside of the arts and cultural sector and helping to drive imagination and creativity into public life and help come up with new solutions to some of the world's biggest challenges. And yes, make beautiful and needed and meaningful things. Now, E.F. Schumacher, he of Small is Beautiful fame, said he didn't mind when his fellow economists dismissed his unorthodox ideas and called him a crank. He said, what's wrong with a crank? It's small, it's simple, it doesn't require very much capital investment, and it causes revolutions. So we don't mind at all if people think our alternative balance sheet is cranky. We look forward to joining up with the good work of others and helping to cause a revolution too. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Claire. How succinct. Wow, that was very good. Okay, we move from resources to, I'm not sure actually. Oh, there's Fraser. So we're going to welcome Fraser McDonald. Fraser's based in Huntly, although we want to bring him back to Dundee, I think, at some point in life. But Fraser works for Grampian Hospital Arts Trust, that way round, yeah? And he's also in the band Deliberate Crumbs, and he's an artist, and he's going to tell us his story about his thing. Please welcome Fraser.
Hi everyone, I'm going to speak mostly about stuff that I've done and stuff that I'm currently doing. This is the most recent, and it's a project called Sacked Portraits, where I've been doing a portrait painting of every manager sacked from a professional football club this season between Scotland and England. You may recognise this one. Each one takes exactly 1 hour to do, and I started it on Twitter to appeal to football fans in an art project, basically. This is a launch I did last weekend at Huntly Football Club Family Fun Weekend, which is just along the road from where I live. We did a sort of guess the manager game with some of the local youth clubs and so on, and the only one that picked up on facial recognition in this photograph is Dick Campbell, previously of Forfar Athletic. The next image is, this was kind of a nerve-wracking dream come true last October, where I was invited live as studio guest on BBC Scotland's Off the Ball programme as a result of the project. When the presenter on the left-hand side, Stuart Cosgrove, asked me probably the strangest and most difficult question in my life when he said, "What does Falkirk mean to you?" This is a band, I'm in a band called The Deliberate Crumbs with Ewan Taylor and Scott Gordon. This is some promo material that we've done over the years and video stills and so on. And from a gig on the top right in the Lidl's car park in Dundee a couple of years back from the back of Ewan's van. We play a gig about every 18 months or so, either between Dundee or Glasgow, and we get a far better reception in Dundee. This is from a gig we played actually most recently last Saturday, I think it was, in Kinning Park Complex in Glasgow as support for the band Fallopian the Tubes at their single launch for the song Psychic Orgasm. We did a live text competition on the right hand side there, and a guy called Matthew won the first prize, which was an old game for the PlayStation 2. This is 24-hour football, which was a 24-hour game of football in Generator Projects in Dundee in 2011. I invited artist Catherine Jeans to come and do it with me, and we started off with 2 teams of predominantly Dundee-based artists and invited visitors to the gallery to sub on and off over the duration, and people commented live on social media. It was broadcast on the internet. Final score was 530 to the Reds and 555 to the Blues, and it was probably the most intense art event I've ever been involved in, and I ended up in hospital at full time with an ankle injury. The famous Clark's 24-hour bakery sponsored us with half-time pies that arrived at 7 o'clock in the morning, cold. This is Tin Roof Social Club, was a project I did with Catherine as well in 2013. This is a beer mat on the top left. It was a design that we used to promote it throughout. And this is a sort of general shot of the club in Tin Roof. And it was licensed through the famous Speedwell's or Menny's Bar up on Perth Road. Over the 4 days, we hosted numerous pub sports competitions and invited some football clubs to come in to talk about art and football and drinking, which was a lot of fun. And we employed a local artist, Neil Scott, there in the bottom right, that I'm playing chess with, as an apprentice barman. And I absolutely loved that for these 4 days. It was great fun. This is Old Basketball, which was a performance I did as part of a wider project with Ewan Taylor for Crawl Inclusive in 2011. We did a scripted performance as a historical collective called Circa 1900 and spoke about how basketball was actually invented in Dundee by a shipping merchant called Beavis Hogan and how nobody knows how it ever got to America. This is The Garbologists, which was part of a wider project called The Nine Trades of Dundee, led by Dundee Exhibitions Department at the time. I'd previously worked as a bin man on and off for the 4 years and then went back to run this as an art movement comprising predominantly of waste disposal workers based in Perth Public Recycling Centre. These are 2 newsletters that we published as part of the project. It was a great line in, having worked previously as a bin man, to go back into that environment as an artist. As well as newsletters, we did things like design and make uniforms. We started an actual union. We built stuff out of recycled materials to give to the public, and we also formed a charity football team to play matches called the Streak and Scaffies, which was named after a guy who used to streak at Scotland games. This is from Hospital Field Arts last year, as part of Bob and Roberta Smith and Pester and Rossi's The Arbroath Template project, where I did a performance called Everything's a Massive Deal. It's been great to see Hospital Field's recent resurgence within the arts on the East Coast over the last couple of years. This is Gallery and New Contemporary Space, which is a locker that I've programmed with Ewan Taylor since 2006 in Duncan and Jordanston. This is a show by Kimberly Bright called Magic Forest, and by David Shrigley on the left called To Be Stuck on the Door, which we opened exactly one night before his solo show at DCA in 2006, when we've got no idea where that artwork is now, but we're hoping to cash it in and fund some programming. This was called Art Practitioners Consultancy that I ran in Inch War Memorial Hospital a couple of years ago for 12 months. It was basically to respond to the question of care within the community, but not in a physical sense. These are images from the final event Care Fair that we run, where basically we tried to broker a deal between local architects, art workers, school leisure centres to keep on meeting up and discussing stuff. Started printmaking again since the formation of the wonderful Dundee Print Collective, DPC, and I've started making stuff in a UK number plate font, inspired in part by the fact I'm now working in Aberdeen and there's so many personalised number plates there. This is called As I Get Older, I'm Enjoying Barbara Hepworth Sculptures More and More. I currently work for the Grampian Hospitals Art Trust, based in Aberdeen Royal Infirmary. We opened the City Art Space in 2014. This is a shot from the opening group show with the work of Oliver Larich, Stephanie Mann and Lottie Glob. As far as we know, it's the first dedicated contemporary arts venue within a hospital setting in the UK, and it's open 24/7 for everybody. This is images from a record that we're going to be releasing with the Arts Trust next month by Found Collective, and it's part of a wider project called Terra Nova. It's going to be released through the label Chemical Underground in Glasgow, and it'll be launching at Summer Hall Arts Venue in Edinburgh on Friday the 1st of July. So if anybody's free, it'd be great to see people along at that. I wrote a book at the end of the last year on my old BlackBerry phone by emailing it in small sections to myself to an account that I set up specifically for that. That's the phone, and that's the edit that I've only just started and got a lot of work left to do. It's loosely about waste management in the near future, set between outer space and Perthshire. Sorry, this is the last one actually. I've seen a lot of Pecha Kuchas, and I really enjoy the bits about hobbies, personal interests, behind the scenes kind of stuff, so I thought it'd be a bit disingenuous not to talk about that. So this is my thing. This is what I'm into: sports, music, food and films. Thank you for listening to me.
Again, another one, brilliant one, but you can possibly see why I didn't know where we were going with that. So very cool to hear. Thank you so much. Thank you, Fraser. And it's our last Pecha Kucha of the night. So I'm going to welcome Darren Tate to the stage, and Darren is somewhere in the dark. There he is. And Darren's an acrobat, dancer, stunt person, a bit of everything. And he runs Circus Bodycore, and he's going to speak about what he does. So please welcome Darren to the stage.
People, madness. Well, I started dance when I was 21 years old, and you can see me, this is my West Brom top. I'm a fan of West Brom as well. But I used to be a forklift driver in a warehouse in Swindon, and I wanted to become a dancer, so then a 2-year course here, and studied dance, ballet, contemporary, and jazz. It was a tough school, considering I've never danced before in my life. This is me at Rambert. Anyone knows Rambert School of Ballet? It's a tough school. And I'm actually on my head, and anyone who knows Rambert, you should be on your feet dancing. So this was me at Brunel University, at Ballet Rambert. It was a tough school, 9 till 5 every day, doing ballet, contemporary. It was tough. This is me also, my first job, Notre Dame de Paris. I was a gargoyle, and I had to rock the Notre Dame bells, and in this show I used to go up to Quasimodo's leg and bite him to hear him yelp. I was a bit of a pest in that show actually. Didn't really do my job right, but yeah, it's my first job, a little mess around. So this was Cirque du Soleil, the Beatles love show, and that is me at the bottom right there. And they called me up, brought me out to Montreal. I then done a year in Montreal before they put me into a show, Beatles Love, where they give me the solo Hey Jude. I was a soloist. Most of the things I do, I'm normally a soloist. And then after that, I wanted to go to LA to do stunts. That's me on fire. And that was a 14-second fire burn, and it took almost 18 hours of preparation with second solution stunts. Pretty crazy stuff, and it was scary. This is also me jumping out of a 60-foot building. I'm actually scared of heights, but when you have like 5 cans of Red Stripe, everything changes, and you just jump onto a massive airbag. And I always said, yeah, I can do high falls, but I'd never. I'd just get up there and jump. This is also me like sword fighting for a film for Paramount. Never done sword fighting in my life. I was basically just winged it, and I had 4 months of training on the swords, and then became a sword fighter in this movie called Perfect Angel, and I was fighting Azariah the Devil. That's me getting up in the morning. This is me in Dungeon Siege. This is the prosthetics by Species 3. I was pretty annoyed here. You can't really see my face underneath this because the sweat, the build-up of sweat, I had to cut like the neck, and all the sweat poured out. And you know, it was a difficult shoot that day. That's not a waxwork. That's actually Michael Jackson. And I met him after the show in Cirque du Soleil. He wanted to meet me for my solo for Hey Jude, and he just basically we had a good old little chat, and then. Put him back in Madame Tussauds afterwards. This is me at Weller. I play him a comedy character called the Dandy Pike. He's a eccentric character in tights and a top hat. And basically, I was the ringleader in Weller, in the Weller show in Camden. So good, check the shoes out. The shoes, I love them. But it was a fun shoot. And this one, this is what I love the best. That's not me singing there. I'm playing the drums on the Lorraine Kelly show. So I basically told him I could play drums. I can't. You can look at it on YouTube, and I got behind the singer, and I started breakdancing, and then they had to go to click track. But I took the gamble, and it worked. This is me in Circulus. This is done with the British gymnastics squad. Your British champions. This is the National Circus Theatre in London, and I was the ringleader. Yeah, again, I was a soloist. So you can see that online as well, which is a fun shoot. You know, these guys are incredible, the best stunt artists. Whoa, that's in Holly's house. When I came to Dundee, first of all, I was kind of bored. I was like, there's nothing to do here. Thought about, might as well climb stuff and go a little bit crazy. So I set the camera upside down, and got on my head and shot this little bad boy. It looks pretty good, huh? Tayrow Bridge, this was in the paper. This speaks 1,000 words. I walked across on a bridge, 2,250 metres. I've done it on my hands. So I basically was better than people that run across it. And I collapsed after that, and I needed a Mars bar and some sugar to keep me going. This was Dr. Pepper. This is Dr. Pepper Canada. This got shared all around the world. I basically was in Studio City, my air conditioning broke, and I was just relaxing one day, got Dr. Pepper, had an idea, sent it to them, ended up doing their Super Bowl commercial as Dr. Pepper. So I was so I soloist it again. This is the Cargo down in Magdalen Green where I do my circus body core workouts. This is a double twist onto concrete. I probably won't do this shot ever again because it hurt my knees, and I was walking like this afterwards. But I've got the perfect picture. This is me in the car park in the town centre. On the first day, on the Saturday, I'd done this, and I was freaking people out because they thought I was going to commit suicide and jump. So I came back on the second day and set up my cameras and hung off the edge of the building doing a handstand. I like to overcome fear. And same again with the Balgate Hill Bridge. I got a lot of stick for this. Yeah, there's concrete underneath me. Big deal, but I did it. It's a great picture though, isn't it? It's all about the likes. So, it's like hanging off stuff. I love overcoming fear, testing, the laws of gravity out, and just really just getting involved. This is my girlfriend here, Holly. She's I was going to say a fashion designer then, but she's not. She's a hairdresser and a blogger, a good one. We're in Edinburgh. And she's been doing the circus body core a lot with me as well. So she's been doing it probably about 6 months, and I've got her to do some crazy things also, like hang off sideways off a cargo. This is a hairdresser, man. This is a hairdresser doing this, and a blogger though, and a good blogger. So So basically, thank you so much for having me here. Everyone else has been fantastic. I kept my cool. It was all good, and thanks a lot.
Thank you, Darren. And I know that Darren really wanted to do a performance here, but unfortunately there's just not enough space. Too many people. So please follow him off some crazy rooftop and watch his work. Thank you so much to everybody, speakers, audience, visitors that are coming to the city for these amazing 4 days, live audience, people on there and there. It's been an amazing night. I hope you agree. Have you had a good night? Yeah? Good work. And that's a wrap. I don't think, I mean, I really want to say thanks to everybody, but there's so many people involved in this. Thank you. I don't know what the hell. So many people involved in making this particular one happen. But can I just say, please do come back and visit Dundee Design Festival. And the team that are behind this, we're really nothing to do with it. All we've done is this today. The team that have been responsible for putting this all on are phenomenal, and they know who they are, and they're in this room, and they're amazing. So well done, everybody. Have fun. Have a great weekend when it comes. See you in November.